Welcome to Litbit channel. Today we will see the origin and growth of comedy. In the introduction part, comedy has evolved a lot over time, reflecting human nature, society, and absurdities. While it often seen as a source of fun, comedy also serves deeper purpose like offering social commentary or making us think. These are two main views and comedies. One sees it is a light-hearted fun and other sees tool to correct society's flaws. Origin and growth of comedy. Comedy begins in ancient civilization. Playwrights like Aristophanes, Plato, and Terence used humor to reflect on their societies. Aristophanes used comedy to critique politics in Athens, while Plato and Terence brought Greek comedy to witty plots. During the Renaissance, comedy continued to develop, especially in England and France. Shakespeare changed comedy by blending clever dialogues with deep character development and social critique. As seen in plays like Midsummer Night's Dream and A Much Ado About Nothing, Molière in France focused on human flaws and social hypocrisy in a place like Tattoos. Ben Jonson also made a mark with his satirical comedies such as Valbonne and The Alchemist. Critics and scholars have frequently debated comedy's purpose, often focusing on its potential to enrich the intellect or to provide escape and amusement. Despite its historical significance, comedy has often been considered a secondary art form comparison to tragedy, with many scholars including Aristotle relegating it to a lesser status. Meredith view of comedy. George Meredith in the 19th century saw comedy as an intellectual activity. He argued that comedy should focus on exposing society flaws in a thoughtful and impersonal way. Meredith believed that the best comedy makes people think and reflects on problems of society, prompting thoughtful laughter instead of physical humor. However, his view of comedy didn't include the warm, joyful laughter found in Shakespeare's work, which blends social heartwarming humor. Bergson's view of comedy. Henry Bergson in On Laughter also saw comedy as a tool. Bergson's view of comedy. Henry Bergson in Our Laughter also saw comedy as a tool for intellectual engagement, but he took a more corrective approach. According to Bergson, comedy laughs at people who break social norms, aiming to fix or reform them. Laughter for Bergson is not kind of sympathetic, it's a way to push people back into societal conformity. However, this view has been criticized because it overlooks the affectionate and joyful laughter in works like Shakespeare's, where humor embarrasses character flaws with condemning them. Criticism of Bergson's view. Bergson's ideas of laughter as corrective has been criticized because it does not capture the warmth and fun of Shakespearean comedy. Shakespeare comedies are more inclusive, celebrating eccentric character and the ridiculous without play to fix them. Unlike Bergson's view, Shakespeare's humor is both thoughtful and joyful, inviting the audience to enjoy and appreciate the absurdities in life. In conclusion part, comedy can be seen in two main ways: as light-hearted fun meant to entertain and make us laugh, or as a corrective tool aimed at exposing and changing societal flaws. The English or Shakespeare view of comedy focus on entertainment and the mix of thoughtful and joyful laughter. In contrast, the classical or French view sees comedy as a way to correct society through impersonal corrective laughter. Shakespeare comedy blends both, offering entertainment while encouraging reflection. Let me recall this chapter. What does Girton argues about Bergson defines of laughter? Galton argues that Bergson's views doesn't include the friendly and joyful laughter found in Shakespeare's works. What is the primary difference between the English and French concept of comedy? The English view focuses on fun and amusement, while the French view is more corrective, mocking social behavior. How does Shakespeare comedy differ from classical comedy? Shakespearean comedy mixes fun with thoughtful humor, while classical comedy focuses on correcting society flaws. What is the view of comedy that emphasizes light-hearted fun and hilarious laughter? The English or Shakespearean view, which aims to entertain without correcting social behavior. What is the corrective function of comedy? Comedy corrects social behavior by laughing at vanity and social derivation. How does satire differ from corrective comedy? Satire is angry and critical, while corrective comedy is thoughtful and impersonal. What role does laughter play in Shakespearean comedy? Laughter in Shakespearean comedy entertains and encourages thought, blending joy with reflection. What is the relationship between comedy and society according to Bergson? Bergson sees comedy as a way to correct derivations from social norms and reaffirm societal behavior. What is the significance of laughter in both the Shakespearean and classical forms of comedy? In Shakespearean comedy, laughter is a kind of joyful. In classical comedy, it is a corrective and aimed at improvement. What is the Gordon says about Shakespeare humor in contrast to Bergson's ideas of laughter? Gordon says Shakespeare humor is warm and kind, unlike Bergson's corrective laughter. Thank you viewers. Thanks for watching this video.